Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and thank you for clicking on the video. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are committed to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. And some Black people are saying this out loud. And this has to do with the Nolan Wells drowning in Mississippi. Some Black people can just not believe that this happened.
Were y'all raised with rules that nobody ever explained? Mine were things like leave with who you came with. Come back with who you came with. Don't let somebody else be your only ride home. Let me know when you get there, share your location. And if you look around and realize that you're the only Black person there, leave or pay attention. Nobody ever sat me down and said, here's why we do this. Those were just the rules, you know? And the older I've gotten, the more I realize that those rules didn't come from paranoia. They came from history. Somebody, somewhere, learned those lessons the hard way. And then they made sure the rest of us didn't have to. In 1998, James Byrd Jr. accepted a ride from 3 white men in Jasper, Texas. They chained him to the back of a pickup truck and dragged him for miles until he died. Every Black parent who heard that story added another rule. Be careful who you get in the car with. In 2013, 19-year-old Renisha McBride, she crashed her car right outside of Detroit, and she walked to a nearby house looking for help. But the homeowner shot her through the screen door. Another rule: know how you're getting home before you ever leave, and make sure you have a plan B. Then there's Tamla Horsford, 40 years old, mom of 5. She went to a sleepover with women that she knew. She was the only Black woman there, and the next morning she was dead. Her death was ruled an accident. But our family has spent years, I think we as a community have spent years, saying that we still have questions. But every Black family heard another lesson. Be careful when you're the only one. Then 18-year-old Nolan Wells. He went to an island for the 4th of July with some of his friends. He was the only Black person in the group. His friends came back, and he didn't. His body was found 2 days later. Now the sheriff is saying there's no evidence of foul play, and that the investigation indicates a drowning, but his family retained Ben Crump because they want every question answered. And now whether this was a tragic accident, which, or something else, I know exactly what happened in a lot of Black households after that story broke. Parents started repeating the same rules that they had been repeating for generations. Leave with who you came with. Come back with who you came with. Now, I don't know about y'all, but if I broke any one of those rules, that was my ass. And I think sometimes people hear our rules and assume that we're just expecting the worst from everybody around us. But that's not it. Yeah, there are some good people out there, but that's not what the rules are about. The rules are about understanding if something goes wrong. History has taught us we don't always get the benefit of the doubt, so we over-prepare. I'm 37 years old. My mother still has my location. Some of my friends have my location. My husband has my location. We check on each other. We make sure that nobody gets left behind. Not because we're paranoid, but because somebody loved us enough to pass down those rules before we needed them. And every generation just keeps adding a new one.
It's interesting. She said the part about her husband and her mother knowing where she was at all times, because now there is a video of Nolan Wells circulating where he's arguing with a friend and he's telling the friend to give him back his phone. So the friend had the phone, and after he was found unalived, his mother tracked his phone to a friend's house. So they still had his phone. I don't know what to make of it, but that's what's coming out.
I literally had to have this conversation with my daughter tonight because I told her what starts out mainly normal for most young kids who aren't completely indoctrinated by their parents becomes different as those white kids get older and they get indoctrinated by each other and the media and what they are taught about the levels of differences between them and the outside world, right? Subliminally or not, it's very obviously painted to them, as it is to most people, anti-blackness. So I just told my daughter tonight, like, hey, it might be cool because you were in elementary school. Now you're going and getting older. I need you to be aware. Those people are problematic because they have never considered you and the differences in your experience. And that is the fucking problem. I don't want to talk about that. Oh, it's uncomfortable. They choose their comfort around an uncomfortable topic over the reality of the lives that it affects. That shit I don't fly with. And I literally just taught her this today. As you get older, you need to be in less and less situations where you're the only black girl there. Plain and simple. That's how this shit goes. It is unfortunate, but it's real. I told her specifically, this conversation we're having is not one your friends are ever going to have. So if they don't explicitly tell you that they understand your position as a black American person and they know how the world treats you as a black American person, if it is not explicitly communicated to you, trust and believe those people are not to be trusted. That's just how this fucking works.
Now, I think that that was a very intelligent way for him to have that conversation with his daughter because you're not demonizing the white people. You are trying to protect your child. And the reason that it is important that you not demonize the white people, because if those black children like those white children, they're going to try to defend those white children no matter what you say. So you do have to be careful. What's important is that your child is safe and that your child knows what safety looks like in her environment. And it is true. When you're young, you're innocent. But as you get older, as they get older, and they see how the world works, they see how you are not valued the same way that they are, and they see where they can get away with things that you can't get away with. So your child is the one that needs to be taught how to be safe. And it's not just white people. Your child has to learn how to be safe around black people too. As a matter of fact, they need to be taught how to be safe, period.
And so I usually don't talk about things like this because of how controversial they are. But it just seems that no matter what group of people black people hang out with, they always die into some bullshit. You know? You have the baby doll Bree. She was hanging out with her own peoples, her own black people. She got shot and killed on some BS. You have Nolan Wells. He was hanging out with the white people. He died on some BS. And then you have Cyrus up there in South Carolina. He just went to go get some water at the gas station. And he was hanging out with the Asian people. And he died on some BS. So it just seems like no matter what group of people black people hang out with, they always die into some BS. So my best advice is to watch who you hang out with. And for the most part, just go to work and just go home. Peace.
Now, that's matter of fact, but it's true. You got to be careful no matter what color the people are, because danger can come from anywhere. So you have to be careful. You have to have discerning ability, and you have to teach your child to be safety first. You have to teach your child safety first. It's not that you can't trust anybody, but if you want to live, you have to practice discernment and you have to practice safety among all people.
When black people say, who all gonna be there? That is a survival tool. That is a survival sentence. Because is there an X there? Is there someone I don't fuck with there? Am I going to be the only black person at this party? All of these things are dangerous. So when I hear the story about Nolan Xavier Wells, an 18-year-old who goes to a boat party with his friends and he's the only black person there, and now he's missing, and then nobody knows what happened to him when they got back on the boat and they drove away from said island. And we don't know, but his body was found this morning, and I just want to know all the pieces that came together with his white friends just not really accounting for the fact that he's missing. Like, y'all left. It really reminds me of that story of forgive me, I can't remember her name, but there was that black woman who went to an adult sleepover, and she was the token black friend. There was like a bunch of white ladies on a couch, and there was just her. And supposedly she had an accidental fall off a balcony. And I always remember that story because I'm like, yo, the investigation just was like really sloppy, and there was like bad accounts of the situation, and nobody went to jail. Nobody, like, I just don't know what happened. And don't get me wrong, there's that sprinkle of white folk I trust, but at the same time, going to a party where there's no other black people around is a dangerous situation. It's a dangerous fucking situation if you are a minority. If you're a black in any way, shape, or form, it's just dangerous. And so, prayers to their family. It's just wild seeing the pictures of this young man, and to know that he won't see another summer again because he decided to trust the wrong people.
He said some very important things. Like when you're going to go to an event, and it might be just black people, but you still might say, well, who all's going to be there? Because there might be somebody there that you don't want to deal with. And that is a survival tactic. And this black woman, who was the only black at a sleepover with grown women, first of all, what are grown women doing having a sleepover? And secondly, she was in a sundown county, Forsyth County. That is where Oscarville was. So that's Lake Lanier territory. So you ought to know that, but this woman was Jamaican. And that's the case with some of these people. You can't tell them. Even if you tell them, they won't believe you. So, you know what? It's just going to be some casualties. I think that we're just going to have to face that because there are some people who are not going to take these precautions. And anyway, you can have some white friends, but I would be suspicious if they only picked me. I'm with some white people and there's some other black people, two or three other black women, then fine. I'm the only black person that they can like. I'm the only black person that can be invited to their party. No, I'm not going.
I am so tired of this happening. Shouldn't we have learned from Tamala Horsford? The token black friend will always be discarded, not chosen.
Well, we're all tired. Your own safety should be your number one priority. Y'all have a good evening.